G'day guys, welcome back again. Yes, I got purple gloves. I've just done a pour in purples and I'll show it to you. This one, if you haven't seen my previous video, that's it. The magenta colour really took over. So I'm going to redo this one and less magenta. I was hoping for more of a purpley blue look, not so much of a pink look. So as usual, floetrol for my pouring medium. And today I'm using 3 parts floetrol to 1 part paint. And I have the global impastos. That is peony pink. Hibiscus, it's kind of like magenta. That's the one that always takes over. That and green always takes over. Coastal turquoise, purple. I'll show you the consistency of these paints if I can. They're quite thick, kind of like yogurt. Kind of like yogurt, so pretty thick. If you can't get these, if you're not in Australia, Liquitex Basics is probably a very similar consistency. These might be a little bit thinner than the Liquitex Basics. So you might have to mix them 4 parts floetrol to 1 part paint if you've got Liquitex. And cool blue. This one's always a little bit thicker, so I add a touch more floetrol to it. So for cells today, coconut milk hair serum, 1 drop in 4 colours. I'm not going to put any in the peony pink. That's an opaque colour. It's going to act like my white today. So I'm not going to put any oil in that one. And I just put the coconut milk into this so that I can get 1 drop out. Tiny little drop. Try not to have a little trail that follows your drop, because that trail can have another 2 drops in it, so be really careful, just 1 little drop each. Now this is really quite thick, this coconut milk hair serum, so I'm going to mix it well and disperse it into the paint so that we get lots of nice big cells. The floetrol on its own gives us little cells, and the coconut milk will give us big cells. Right, I think we're ready to go. Let's start with a bit of pink. As I said, this is going to act like my white. A little bit of the hibiscus or magenta. So I think we'll layer everything in twice. Should have enough paint to layer twice. Pouring from up high to mix the colours, to start blending them and start creating some cells, because it's the mixing of the paint that creates the cells. There we go, back to the pink. Hardly had any pink really show up in my last pour. So hopefully the magenta won't take over in this one. Look at that. Can you see that? Look at those cells already. 1 tiny drop of silicone or coconut milk. The coconut milk hair serum has got dimethicone in it. That's the active ingredient that creates the cells. So if you don't have coconut milk, you can use any hair product that has dimethicone in it. I don't even know if I want to use all this. I'll leave a little bit in there. I only made half the amount of that one as I did to the other colours. So 3 to 1, I think I had 70 grams of floetrol to 25 grams of paint, I think is what I've used. I do write everything on the back of my card so that I will remember what I did. So these are great. These are 30 by 40 centimetre cards. This one is 350 grams in weight. I do have some that are 450 grams in weight, and they do work better. They don't warp. These don't warp either, but if you put a lot of paint on and leave it for any length of time, it may start to buckle a bit in the middle. Like if you're doing a swipe and you're pouring all your paint on, and then you maybe 10 minutes later, then you get to the swipe, it tends to buckle a little bit in the middle. And I don't find that with the 450 gram one. Over we go. Now 3 cups, 3 cup flip, or 3 flip cup, however you want to say it. So, having a look, lots of little cells already popping up here, where the paint has mixed into the other paint. The lower density paints come to the surface, the higher density paints go to the bottom. And as that silicone comes up through the layers of paint, it brings the lighter paints up to the top, creating the cells. Just give that a minute to work its way down. And then I'll pull the cups back. I want to pull them back this way so that it covers the card. You can get this from office supplies, stationery shops. If you're in Australia, well, I just got it on eBay and they posted it out. Just look for any like thick card or 400 gram card, 350 gram card, anything like that. 12 by 16 inch. Okay, let's go. So push up, pull back. Didn't really cover that very well, did it? I'm going to go a little bit slower on this one, see if I can pull it back better. That's a bit better. Let's fill in this little gap down here. If you're doing this, try and keep your paint in a linear pattern. Don't swirl it around and make a circle. Try and keep it in a linear pattern. It'll just look nicer once you start tilting if it's all heading in the same direction. Wow, look at that. Don't go over the edge, paint. Don't want to lose that. My goodness, look at those cells pop. Make some room here. Got empty cups in the way. Okay. Just going to spread that paint to the edge there. Try to move some of this down if I can. No, not really. It's a bit hard when you don't have a proper canvas. Okay, I think I will go down first. This way. Just going to stretch this paint out a little bit, just so that the weight of that paint will help the paint move. It doesn't move as freely on a dry card, but once the card's wet with paint, it does move a little easier. All right, here we go. Try not to lose too much of this. Push it over here, I think. See if that'll help. Push it over a bit. Losing some paint, you just can't help it. Okay, that's enough. Wow, look at that. It's like snake skin. Just going to bring the weight of the paint back to the middle a little bit. And turn it around so I can go the other way. Okay. Try and help that along a bit too. Got quite a big gap over here. When I pulled my cups back, I didn't do it very well. Just going to go for this corner first because there's not much paint there at all. Just take your time. It's moving very slowly, this paint. Going to lose a lot of these beautiful pale pink cells over the side, unfortunately. Not much you can do about that. Just go over that corner and then I can stop. Got to be careful not to leave too much paint on your surface. Otherwise the cells that you have created will all stretch out of shape because you've got too much paint on your surface. Okay, bring the paint back to the center and then we'll go for this corner here. So this is looking better in the colour way. Anyway, I've got more blue. Magenta's not as overbearing as it was on the last one. These cells are stretching out, becoming huge. Last little corner over here. I haven't used as much paint as I did on one of my previous 3-cup flips. That's why I'm having to stretch it more. But the one that I used quite a lot of paint on, I found that my cells, after an hour, my cells were starting to stretch out of shape because there was just too much paint left on the card. So this is a little bit of a thinner mix. This is a 3-to-1 mix, and you can see that there's more movement here. My other one that I did, or my other two that I did, I think I made 2.5 to 1. So a little bit thicker in the paint. This is 3-to-1, and you can see the difference in the movement. It's just a little bit thinner, so it's moving more. Maybe something that you prefer. I'm just trying to line this bit up here. Try and get rid of that bend a little bit, but that's about all I can do. So I'm going to torch it now to bring up some cells underneath. Got my torch here, butane heat gun, heat torch. I'll just go over the whole thing, popping bubbles and bringing up any cells that want to come up from the bottom. Here they come. If your paint's too thin, when you torch, you won't get any cells. You'll only get cells if your paint's thick enough and the silicone can still come to the surface. If your silicone is already on the surface, you're not going to get cells. So if your paint's really thin and your silicone's already at the surface after you've poured, you're not going to get any more cells. So there we go. Lots of cells popped up. We've got some blue ones inside a pale pink ring. We've got multicoloured ones here, really pretty. The big ones. See, I'm not that keen on these huge ones. These two, well, that one's okay. These ones are a little bit oddly shaped. I prefer them to be a nicer shape. Let's try that little bit there. Okay, so that's it. I don't want to torch anymore. I don't want a mass of cells everywhere. I want to be able to see some background without having cells everywhere. So I'll grab the other one. So this one, much more magenta, a lot brighter, I guess. This one is a little bit more toned down, a little bit more purple and blue through it. What do you think? Which one do you prefer? Alrighty, take you in for a close-up. But I think I do prefer my 2.5 to 1 mix. This one's just a little bit too thin. The 3 to 1 mix is great for swipes, but maybe not so much for definition here. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.